Well, welcome to West Country Wanderings. Welcome to a shorter video in my Cornwall series. This is the first time I've ever been to Holywell Bay and Holywell Beach. There's several tourist parks here, and in the height of the summer, this is a really difficult location to get to unless you're staying temporarily here in one of the campsites or chalets, which, well, they come with their own parking. Parking here is quite expensive. But I managed to park up in a residential area, one of the few spare ones, because I'm filming this towards the end of April. It's come to the end of the Easter holidays now, and it's very, very early in the morning on a Saturday morning. It's actually 5:30, so I do apologise for the grainy footage at the moment because it's barely got light here. I've driven overnight down from where I live in Gloucestershire, and I'm actually going to a church service, a memorial service, later on this morning. Before I go on to that, I thought that I'd just pop here, just to do a little bit of filming, just to see what it's like at dawn here in Holywell Bay, here in fabulous Cornwall. So the dunes here, an extension of the dunes that are around Perranporth Bay and Perranporth Beach, so it's a continuation of that. And over here was once Penhale Army Base. It's now derelict. There's loads of buildings behind me. Well, you can't quite see them at the moment, but they're all over that side. That was the army bit. So it's even going to have a bit of a wander over there, because that bridge is where the southwest coast path goes over. Got the place to myself here. You can just imagine this in the summer months, be teeming with tourists. But today, this morning, Saturday morning, there's no one here. So there we have the white line of the Atlantic surf just breaking here at Holywell Bay. And the Holywell dunes there on the right hand side, extending right up, looking like something out of, well, Lawrence of Arabia is the only way I can describe it. Very dramatic landscape, isn't it? As you can see. Now, though the army site has closed, it's still marked as a danger area on the map, and that's for very good reason, because this area is absolutely littered with adits and mine shafts and caves. And I think there's a bit of an adit just there. Just between the two outcrops there are known as Carter's or Goals rocks, and you might be able to recognise that if you used to watch a drama series on BBC One called Poldark. And yeah, a lot of Poldark was filmed in and around here and on the beach here at Holywell Bay. Definitely looks like the tide is coming here in at the moment. That's looking exceptionally dramatic, with the seawater backing up towards the stream, which is trying to head down. I think it's fighting a losing battle here. Now the speed at which that tide is coming in is actually quite breathtaking. It's coming in with, well, a huge rapidity, and it always serves as a reminder of how dangerous the waters can be off the Cornish coast, particularly on the north side here, on the Atlantic side. It has been raining fairly heavily overnight, not windy, but fairly heavy rain. And now the rain, it's just a few droplets now, it's easing off, and it should be a dry day today, but it will be overcast. Now from this point here you get a much better view of Carter's Rocks with their distinctive V shape in between the rock on the left and the rock on the right hand side, with a smaller, tinier rock in between the two. Yes, that really sums up Holywell Bay here. Now I had to jump back quite quickly just now because of the speed of the tide coming in here. It's actually a calm day, though the waves still seem to be coming in with quite a force there. Perhaps it's an indication of rougher storm out deeper in the ocean between here and the American continent. Well, after having driven down the M5 tonight and along the A30 to get here overnight with the rain, it's rather refreshing to stretch my legs on this beach as the tide is coming in. So it is calm, but you still get that sense of drama with the Atlantic rollers crashing on the beach here at Holywell Bay. So that's the expanse of Holywell Beach here. Not as big as Perranporth, of course, but it's still a fair size, although it's decreasing at a rapid rate at the moment with the tide coming in. So what I'm going to do now is to cross back over that bridge where I started this video here and strike up onto the southwest coast path to have a look at a bit of the former Penhale Sands camp, or what we can see of it, and then curve round a bit in the direction of Perranporth Beach. Now you could actually mistake this for the watering hole, and I'm just wondering whether the owners of the watering hole are branching out to open another version of it here on Holywell Beach. If you do know the answer to that, please drop a comment in the usual way below. Well, I'm now skirting around the edge of Penhale camp. It doesn't look like, according to the OS map, but it contains a settlement, possibly an Iron Age settlement inside it, but I don't think we're still allowed in it, even though the army left it, well, quite a few years ago now. Now the central stone here acts as a bit of a marker. The footpath on the right takes you back onto the beach, or the beach bit that's the other side of the stream, where the tide was coming up it, but the southwest coast path strikes up steeply on the left, which is where we're going. And so, as the sign says there, we're now going through the Ministry of Defence property. It is the southwest coast path though, and I I'm not sure if it's still used for training, even though the camp is closed. It may possibly be. Anyway, we'll continue on through it and through this gate. Now that sign now, I actually thought when I saw it from a distance it was risk of fire, as in gunfire from the MOD training grounds, but no, it's risk for the gorse fire hedges here. But it doesn't look like it's actually used now, although in dry conditions, of course, that could be a problem. Well, there's the Holywell Bay sand dunes in all their glory, with a couple of walkers there, early morning walkers, giving a bit of a sense of scale. You can just see how towering those dunes really are. Get a nice wide view from this direction of the beach and all the dunes. And that's a little sign there for making space for sand. It's a community science project. southwest.coastalmonitoring.org. Let's see if I can link to that in the description of today's video. Now, as you can see, the headland I'm on, walking around what was Penhale Camp, the MOD land, curves out into the sea, giving a great look back towards Holywell Beach. Just started to spit with rain again, and we have some cowslip here out on the very exposed Atlantic coast. So we have the Carter's Rocks there on the right, the coast path on the left, which is where we're going, but one of the many mine shafts that are littered with this area. In the middle, I don't have any intentions of going too close to that, especially we've had fairly heavy rain overnight. The ground's quite soaking, which can lead to collapses of cliffs and indeed former mine shafts. Now I know it might be a little bit tricky to see through the fence, but this shaft here, mine shaft, is actually very close to the edge of the southwest coast path, so I haven't actually had to wander up to it. It's literally right next to it. So I'm on a little bit of a tump just behind it to give a perspective. I would imagine that is very, very deep, and it probably goes down to an adit at the base of the cliff, or possibly even a shaft which goes underneath the ocean floor. So we're now looking at, there's no fence in between here and there, so I'm just standing on the southwest coast path, and this is a former facility here for radio comms for the army. Now been decommissioned. It's said about high voltage and non-ionising radiation, which would be RF radiation, similar to what you get from radio and TV transmitters. But they've now taken that down, but you can actually see the concrete blocks there where the aerial stays would have been tied to. Here I think we're looking at a generator room, because you can see the two exhausts there from the top. Probably would have been generators in there, which would have been the power supplies for the radio comms. Obviously you can't rely on National Grid, particularly if it's a time of war, which is what this would have been originally built for. But I'm thinking that structure may date to the Cold War, so we're looking at 70s stroke 1980s construction. It possibly continues underground for a little way as well, but I think mainly it was for generators and storage facility here, but now decommissioned. Now they were on military defence land here, obviously on a permanent right of way, but that is not to keep you out of any military installation, it's to stop you falling over the edge, because the cliffs here are crumbling away. And the fence has been set back, so it's been moved forward, the fence, closer to the footpath, and even that started to wear away, hence the temporary orange netting in front of it. I'm just looking through the fence again now, so let's put it through a little bit closer. You can just see there's like a yellow hatching. I was trying to make out what it says. Obviously it's upside down from this side. I think it says max 10T, max 10 tons, probably metric tons. And I think that is because they can't store too much weight on there, because I'm pretty certain there probably is an underground bunker under there, because on the right here, on the right of your screen there, you can see a little brick building, and I would imagine that's an air vent of some kind, possibly a nuclear bunker there. Bunker. And the air would have been filtered there. Again, I think I was correct in stating it was generators in the main, because it looks like 2 storage tanks there. Well, they're either for diesel or for water, one of the two. Now you might be able to make out 2 buildings, 2 houses in the middle of the screen there. And when the MOD purchased this site, I think during the Second World War, I'm not 100% certain, see if I can find out. I'll put a date in there for you. Obviously it carried on during the Cold War. And, post-Cold War, it was only a few years ago that it closed. Those houses were purchased by the MOD, and then they were used for training exercises, sort of terrorism and, capturing people that have been held hostage, that sort of thing, I think. Yes, it definitely looks all dramatic over there. I've certainly got no intention of getting any closer to that. You can see the cliffs are corroding away there. It's quite interesting here because you've got 2 aerials still intact. I don't think they're used, but I could be wrong. If you know different, please let me know. But I just think they haven't been decommissioned and taken down as yet. But in between there, looks like some Shetland ponies, and I think what's probably happened there is the MOD have now renting the land back out to local farmers. Now we're looking at something quite incredible in the centre of the screen there, and about more than halfway up, it's about a third of the way up. And you can see like a cross, a wooden cross, and I wouldn't mind betting that that was a former mine shaft there. So the rock goes in like a groove, like a slot, and you've got a grassy bit underneath it there, and I think that's where the shaft was, so that would have gone underneath there, and you would have had men being sent down that. Incredibly, just imagine how dangerous they would have been just only getting anywhere near. I've got this on the short telephoto at the moment, so it looks closer than it actually is. I'm certainly not getting any closer, and you just imagine how dangerous it would have been for the miners hacking the tin and copper out of the cliffs here. Wow, extraordinary that survived. Oh, that's fantastic. So we've got our Shetland ponies, I think they are, here on the MOD land, but I'll say leased to the local farmer, I think. It's certainly a bleak place here on the cliff tops for these Shetlands, but they are hardy breed. Well, that's fantastic to see. And what you're looking at here is a military road which goes right through the heart of the MOD land here, the camp, which is probably in better condition than most of the roads, the Cornish roads that arrived here tonight and this morning. Well, we're now looking at some of the barrack accommodation for the army here. Bit of a bleak place, I have to say, that living here. I used to work on a site very similar to this one at RAF Portreath, just a few more miles down the Atlantic coast, but I didn't live on it. I actually lived at RAF St Morgan, and so I worked on radar equipment, but also on a bleak cliff top. At least I could go home at the end of either the day or the night, and I used to work night shifts as well, which I did enjoy. But I think the army here stayed here 24/7 to do their training. So we're now looking at some of the Old army buildings here at the Penhale site. So it is private property over there now. And yeah, you can't get through there. No intention of doing so. But it does say that the buildings are in dangerous condition. I can imagine that they would be. But you can imagine it could be used for like a film set. Remember that Doom Watch programme in the 70s, and Quatermass, that sort of thing could be filmed here. Couldn't it be absolutely perfect here on the Cornish cliff tops? Now, the building earlier that I said that it was used by the army for training, etc., looks like it's been built and been completely restored, even though it's surrounded by all these old army buildings which are, well, beyond repair. Well, it's good to see that that Cornish building has gone back to how it should be here on the headland of Penhale. Fantastic. Now here the sea has cut in this huge shelf. Can't really call it a cove, but I'm wondering if some of this has actually been worked out. It's looking very metallic, that cliff. Now here the cliffs are covered in thrift out in flower, beautiful pink colour. Looks fantastic. Well, with this amazing backdrop here on the Cornish cliffs near the former MOD site at Penhale, on the Atlantic Coast of Cornwall, that's it for today. Here on West Country Wanderings, I hope you enjoyed this saunter along the southwest coast path from Holywell Bay to here at Penhale. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to go on further all the way around to Perranporth because I need to go on to that church service later this morning. There's actually a lady that helped me a lot when I was living in Perranporth, and she sadly passed away a few weeks ago. It's a celebration of her life at the nearby church there. So I'll be going along to that and then meeting up with my daughter before I head back to Gloucestershire today. Anyway, until next time on West Country Wanderings, take care of yourselves, look after yourselves, and I hope to see you on the channel again very, very soon. All the best for now. Bye.